Good day, YouTube. Looking at it on the tiny screen and in front of me, conceptually, I had the idea of making a mountain of Thomas Mann, but in execution, it's just one book on top of the other, which is just silly. But welcome to the channel. I've not done a video for quite a while now, I don't think. Yeah, it's been a little while anyway. But this is to announce off the back of other announcement videos that you might have seen. The Ulysses Six, plus a couple of extra people who've joined the group, are going to be tackling later on this year, over November and December. I'll bring it down. Thomas Mann, The Magic Mountain. Really looking forward to this. I realised earlier on as well that I'd previously bailed on reading Bleak House for the March of the Mammoths, because it was a bit too daunting and I wasn't really feeling it at the time. But I think by happenstance I'm going to have achieved the March of the Mammoths 2 to 3 times by the end of the year, maybe more. Given some of the length of some books, it's just been a bit of a weird year of reading so far. But yes, so the Ulysses Six, so it'll be Greg from another. I thought I had my laptop with me so I could have this on a separate screen, but I left my laptop at work because I'm in the office again tomorrow. So this is just from memory. We have Greg, Alan, Pat, Roy, Debs, myself. That was the Ulysses Six, who in 2024 we read James Joyce's Ulysses, which in itself, a very big book. The group rejoined, excluding myself, last year, but with some other members, and they tackled Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. And now this year, the intention is that we're going to read Thomas Mann's The Magic Mountain, which I have known for a long time by reputation, but know very few details about it. Literally some of the announcement videos and some of the biographical details that people are sharing is completely new news to me about Thomas Mann and the book itself, The Magic Mountain. So by all means, this is an open invitation for people to join the group. I will try to link below in the description, or I will edit it after the fact because I'm very untech savvy. But I will get there in the end. I will link to the Discord that Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads has created, which has a, if you're not familiar with Discord, there are various subheadings within the forum, and then you can break it down. So there'll be a general chat for the book, and then there's a schedule and so on, and various breakdowns. But yeah, so this is the invitation that this is what we are going to be reading. Like I said, really looking forward to it. I know very little about it. This, by the way, just before people get concerned, it is a working translation. So far, people from the group are reading various translations, so we're not all committed to sticking with this one, which is the, bear with me, I have forgotten his name, there's a multiple name, H.T. Lowe-Porter translation, which I think is the first translation that happened to it. So I think this is the oldest translation. And then there is a more recent one by, again, I will flesh these details out of it, somebody called Pear something or other. So yeah, so I think this is one of the more recent by the date this edition was published. There's a Everyman's Library edition, which I think Aaron Facer, who's also in our little expanded initial Ulysses Six group, has a copy of from that one. And we'll also be joined by David from Polyglot Reading, who has multiple channels, and in which he also covers details about books in multiple languages, hence the polyglot bit. And I think I saw Aaron reference that David also has a specific Thomas Mann project channel where he is working through the oeuvre of Thomas Mann methodically and over time encapsulating the collected works, as far as I understand it. So by all means, check that out. I will be using that as a resource as well as we go through it. But yeah, just for a flavour of what to expect here. So usually, by the way, this is usually the extent of my knowledge of a book when I go into it, is just whatever we have here. So you can pause it on screen and read it yourself, or skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to hear my voice drone on. But we've got Hans Castor, or Castorp, I'm not sure on the pronunciation there, arrives at a sanatorium in the Swiss Alps to visit his cousin, intending to stay for just 3 weeks. But when he falls ill, he remains and is drawn in by the introspection and erudition that define life in the mountains. As his stay extends over 7 transformative years, Hans falls in love and becomes intoxicated with the ideas he hears at the clinic, ideas which will strain and crack apart in a world on the verge of the First World War, which is very interesting conceptually. So, does it say the initial publication date here in the front? So, where's it going to be? First sorry, this is boring again. I shouldn't be doing. I'll go. This seems to be the earliest date I can. Oh no! Copyright by S. Fisher Verlag, 1924. So I don't know if this is. How do I articulate this now? Because I had this thought the other day when I was thinking about it. So, An Inspector Calls, which is a play, by the name of the guy eludes me. But anyway, it was written post-war, but set pre-war, and has a looming foreshadowing scene. So I'm curious if this is post-World War One, but obviously is set before World War One. So kind of in retrospect, I'm wondering if some of the philosophers, especially existential philosophers, I imagine, since it's the outbreak of a world war, will play quite a factor in this. But you've got a magnificent, a beautiful, feverish account of obsessive love by Jonathan Coe, who I've read. What a Carve Up and something else by him. So I like Jonathan Coe. I would trust his thing. I say translated by H.T. Lowe-Porter and with an introduction by Adam Folds. So the plan loosely, as suggested by Greg, which I think everybody in the group agreed on, is approximately the 90-page per week type of schedule. So not too many pages per day. It suits me down to the ground because I am a plodding reader, to put it politely to myself. I get there in the end, but sometimes it can be a struggle for me. But I do have a bit more downtime these days because of just personal life changes, so I should be all right. But in keeping with the idea that this was on the horizon, through work, I happen to be looking through the leisure reading section at work in the library there, so leisure reading, and I spotted this, which is actually longer, which surprised me. I thought it'd be the other way around. But yeah, so I'm getting used to Thomas Mann's writing, but writing obviously again through the lens of, here we go, translated from the German by H.T. Lowe-Porter. So I'm getting used to Mann and Porter in equal measure in the run up to this. So I've just I've just started at the top of page 220 in this, and it is 854, I want to say. I want to try and glean a look, but not see any words or spoilers or anything. 854, yeah, 854. So 854 pages. This was, sorry, I should say about this one. This particular edition, which is the Vintage Classics edition, runs in at, oh, there's a making of at the back there, 716. So I'm going to be hopefully prepared somewhat for the Magic Mountain. I'm getting a good glean of this. I think I said before, the issue I was having with Bleak House and Dickens, I wasn't in the mood for it. But Buddenbrook, as I believe it's pronounced, not Buddenbrooks. I think Buddenbrooks is but from what I've seen potentially, like a very anglicised pronunciation of it, but it's boo. It's a boo sound rather than a b. So Buddenbrooks. Weirdly, the title here doesn't have what I've seen is the second half of the name, which it doesn't say it for some weird reason. But there's a subtitle. I'm sure there's a subtitle because I've seen it on varying editions. Does Porter say why he doesn't include a subtitle? He does not. But yeah, there is a again, it's embarrassing. I will include it in the details below. But it's like the decline of a family or something along those lines. So there is a continuation of the title there, which obviously gives you more of a flavour of what to expect from the story. But I think this type of story, it's, at least so far from what I've read, is my favourite type of story. So I've loved reading the Foresight Saga, Casley Chronicles, something about that type of family in decline or turmoil over time. I loved watching Downton Abbey, for example. At a friend's request and suggestion, recently watched The Gilded Age, which obviously by same makers, but is the same type of thing, but obviously set in America. So I'm really enjoying this kind of time period and cultural affluence, standing in society shift, and how that cascades down from the main members of the family, the heads of the households and whatnot, and the people of rank, through to the smaller relations, friends of the relations. I was anxious going into it, and it might be the same in the Magic Mountain, where when I'd previously read Crime and Punishment and The Idiot by Dostoevsky, so I've got a nice edition of the Brothers Karamazov. I need to get to it, so I need to read that at some point. But there was it's not having as much in this, but it's a little bit there, where there's almost a very specific naming convention for some people, and there seems to be a more on the continent of Europe, like I say, with the Russian aspect of it, and this coming through a little bit in the German, there's a formal level of address, and then various stages from that of increasing informality based on your relationship or standing to of that person, which takes a little bit of getting used to sometimes. So in some moments when you're doing the big exposition and you're getting all the characters in quite a quick flurry, I found that can be a little bit confusing sometimes. It feels like there are more players on the stage than there actually are, but it's just actually the level of which people are addressing each other. So I think I've covered the book in question we're going to read, where I'm currently standing, who's mainly involved in terms of like hosts. I think the same plan we'll have from the previous explorations of Joyce by the Ulysses Six, and then obviously by the rest of the group when they did the Brothers Karamazov, which will be periodic live discussions that will then be or video conference. What's the way to describe it? I don't know. Like a conference call between the people wanting to discuss it, and then that will be posted to YouTube, I imagine, again. So that'll be good, so then people can watch the development and the journey and how we interpret certain different things. And like I say, very interesting. Sorry for a creaky door there. I've got the door open, so I'm drafting. Will be this point around the fact that we've all got different editions. I tried to look into something broader, and I think I was given, I'm not sure which edition it is, but apparently there's something to do with a very French-heavy chapter in terms of dialogue, which apparently in some editions is translated fully into English, and in others is preserved as being in French. So I don't think I came across that when I had a flick through this in the bookshop, so I went to Waterstones for my edition. And I, like I said, I was dictated by price there. The Everyman's hardback edition, which was significantly nicer, and like nicer paper stock, obviously more sturdy, has the silk ribbon, but it was nigh on double the price. And realistically, I've had this for a little while now. I'm travelling with it frequently to and from. The corners are not dinged up. There's no weird discoloration occurring. Everything seems pretty good with it. So thankfully, yeah, it should be exciting. I hope you're on board. Like I say, I'm thoroughly enjoying this, so I can't see why I wouldn't, therefore, in turn, enjoy the Magic Mountain. And just to expand a little bit more on some other literary things, here is a little addendum. Last night when I went to get this, I was able to get this whilst also attending a literary event, so at the Anthony Burgess International Foundation building in Manchester City Centre. A colleague at the university I work at was also doing a reading of their most recent book, which is a collection of short stories, which is Granite Rock. Another colleague, Jackie K, is blurbed on the front there. So Alicia J. Rouverol, or Dr. Rouverol, has written this collection of short stories. And then the publisher, the co-owner of the publishing company, which is Bridge House Publishing, was also manning the stall in the foyer area when the event was done for people who wanted to buy the book. And it was about £10 or something for this book, or it was £12 for this and Professor Rouverol or Alicia's previous novel / novella. So I got both since it was only £12. So that just made sense, and I couldn't not say yes to getting both when a special offer is being presented to me by an adorable old woman who's championing independent publishing and such like that. So thanks as well. So the artwork on the front here was where does it say it? So there was a piece of artwork for the front cover here by I'm going to forget his name. Andrew Broder or Broder. I'm not sure how the pronunciation was there, but it must say something. Yes, sorry, cover design by Andy Broder. And then in the short story collection, Andy Brody was there, and he's also a lecturer in art at the university. And throughout there are 10 short stories, and each one has had a created piece of artwork to accompany it, to fall in with the themes, all done in different found mediums, which is like the whirligigs, which feature in that story, the ferry boat, which Alicia read an excerpt from. So it's just really fantastic stuff. So I'm looking really forward to that. And obviously, like I said, it was nice to. Obviously, these are now priceless because they are mine. I'm not going to get rid of them for anything. But it's also nice to have it signed in there. I don't know why. I think I presented Dry River first, so I went overly formal. So it's William in this one, but Will in the other. But yeah, so all in all, a very good book hunting day. I'm not going to try and recreate the tower because that would just be a disaster at this point, I feel. But yeah, so I can't see it happening, but if it does, I need a brief respite from Buddenbrooks. I will dip into a short story. I will then finish this once I finish that. Because I've got a good chunk of time between these. I'll definitely get around to reading Dry River by Alicia Rouverol. And yeah, I'll likely do another video encapsulating what I thought of these as well. And it'll be interesting to see the development of, usually it's the other way around, which was commented on in the Q&A, which is usually you start with short stories and move on to a longer piece, whereas this was longer piece first and foremost, and then the short stories have followed afterwards. But yeah, very exciting and interesting stuff. So that's it for now. I've witted and tittered on for nearly 20 minutes, which I think is more than enough, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you, BookTube. Good day.